Today you find me in map corner, quite important for today's video. We're also going to need this, which is Bradshaw's Canals and Navigable Rivers. Who knew that Bradshaw did canals as well as railways? I certainly didn't. Today's video is also sponsored by the good people at Readley. More on that in a bit, but first of all, two things. Looking for two things. Number one, a man called Terry. Number two, a canal. First of all, show you something quite quirky. So this is Cosgrove, and just here is a little underpass under the canal, the Grand Union Canal. Look at these. This is wonderful. Not even sure I'm going the right way. Yeah, I've not gone the right way, but let's just take a moment to enjoy the very classic canal type construction of this underpass with a big facing wall. Right, where are we? What are we doing? And why should you carry on watching this video? Up these steps and we found the Grand Union Canal, part one. Yeah, that's not going to cut it, Paul. I think we need to delve a bit deeper into where we are. So, if I haven't already told you, well, today we're going to need maps. I haven't got the exact map of where I am, frustratingly, but I have got a lot of these printouts down here of the area. And if you haven't already worked out, or if I haven't already told you, I'm up here near Milton Keynes, and I'm going to be heading down the Buckingham arm of the Grand Union Canal. The old Stratford arm followed by the Buckingham arm. It's the same route. So Terry's going to be at Lock 21, wherever that is, and he's going to help tell us about Buckingham Canal, or the Buckingham arm of the Grand Union Canal, which I'm going to attempt to walk along today. It's abandoned, which fits in with what we do. So a quick word from today's sponsor, which Bessie and I are going to tell you all about. That's for good reason. We have too many pets, and we also have too many kids, and what that means is we have a lack of space in this house. Now, I've got a love of magazines of all different varieties. I always want to be looking at sort of back issues, so that's exactly where Readley comes into play. Access to countless titles and magazines, all at the tip of your finger. So let's dive in. Now, as you may or may not know, if you follow me on social media, I've just got back into building a model railway. So I'm always looking for inspiration. Railway magazines are absolutely that source of inspiration. But the trouble is, I'm always buying about 4 or 5 of those magazines per month. The cost of that really does add up. If I just type in model railway, a couple of magazines come up, BRM. I'm always buying BRM. I can scroll down here and look at countless back issues and get plenty of inspiration. And the same goes with things like our love of history, where we can check out all kinds of history titles. Just scroll through now, you'll see exactly what I mean. And again, the back issues are all available for you, included in the deal that you're going to get today. There's so many other benefits as well. You can read offline. If you're out of service, or you're somewhere where there is no service, well, it doesn't matter. You can still read some of these back issues from Readley's app. It has recommendations on you reading this. You might quite like this too, so it broadens your horizon. So Bessie, do you want to tell the lovely viewers exactly how to obtain today's deal and get Readley? No, it's just me. So click on the link in the doobly-doo below, and you can obtain 2 months free, and you can cancel at any time thereafter. So if this app is for you, make sure you click on those links. It really does work for us. I think it'll work for you too. So this is Terry and Alan from the Trust. I'll let them tell you the technical bits as we take the arm from the Lock 21 of the Grand Union Canal from Cosgrove. We've got 9.5 miles to go. And well, here's the first bit, which is part of what was called the old Stratford arm. So the section we're walking along now, how in water, how far could you narrow it along here?
As far as the bridge in the distance you can see, because that's where the stop planks are at the moment.
Okay. So we're as far as we can go in terms of navigation, but we're looking like a nice head of water thereafter.
It is indeed. It's all been dredged out and re-watered.
Yep.
About another 250, 300 metres to the farm crossing, and that's where we're working on the next set of stop planks to go in as soon as next month. Our intention is to restore the canal all the way to Buckingham.
Yeah.
But when we do that, we will have created an 11-mile corridor down here for biodiversity and green space and blue space and well-being.
Right, I'm going to leave Alan and Terry to it. You're going to hear more from them as I go on. And I'm going to jump forward to halfway down this canal. Sounds a bit like cheating, but this is really the first good section you can walk from, Thornton Wharf. Now, you'll also notice something else. The weather has changed significantly. Oh yeah. So let's tackle now a real 5-mile walk from halfway down the Buckingham Canal all the way down to Buckingham. Thornton Wharf coming up. This is brilliant. So when you look at what I'm looking at now, you just see a road, iron fence over the top. Looks very old, but have a quick dig around here and there's a lot to see. I'm going to start with the slightly less attractive side first. So to remember that this road wouldn't have been there because there's a bridge the other side. I'll show you that in a minute, but look at this. Now there was an old wharf here and I wonder if the walling there was that wharf. Pretty sure this would have been it because that's quite elaborate in terms of canal construction without there being a purpose. So I'm going to label this Thornton Wharf. Look at that, mix of masonry and brick. That's a great start to the day. Let's nip over the other side and I'll show you just the most wonderful little occupation bridge, let's call it, Bridge 18 I think. What an absolute treat Bridge 18 is. We're now at a single bore, single line, a narrow line, whatever the canal phrase is.
From Old Stratford through to Buckingham, it was then narrow canal.
Look at that. Look at the arch, look at everything about that. It's got the towpath on it. It's got some drainage pipes coming through the middle. Huge amount of masonry displaced on that side. But it's still there. Wonderful. I guess now is the time you really want to try and feel what it was like being one of the people that were in control of a vessel that came down here, a barge that came down here with goods on, and what their life would have been like. You just assume a relaxing, slow pace, just heading down the canal, the 9 or so miles from the arm up there. And I can't help but romanticise it. It's probably not like that, probably having to sleep or something on the barge, but can't help but romanticise that life a little bit. Right, onwards to an aqueduct. Can't remember the name of the aqueduct, but I remember it's right by the road. We're going to head out into the elements over this sty, and oh, look at this. Just the most beautiful picture. Shame about the day. Of an old canal and the towpath and a line of trees. That's gorgeous.
From the county boundary, which is adjacent to that site, it goes between Buckinghamshire and Northamptonshire. The footpath is fully accessible.
Yeah.
Forms part of the Ouse Valley Walk all the way from Brackley through to King's Lynn.
Just a beautiful, serene picture. I wish it was sunny. And here's a curious thing. Danger. Looks like a concrete block with the word danger written on it. How strange is that? Onwards to the aqueduct and whatever remains of it. I don't know if the road took over it or if it's still there next to the road. It's only a small brook, so the hope is with something like that it's still there because it's sort of insignificant in the grander scheme of things. Despite the weather, this is sights to absolutely live for. Walking along the towpath of an abandoned canal, and it's beautiful. I've walked a long way to see that, and it looks like it's been completely repaired or completely replaced. I don't think any of that is original, which is a real shame, but I guess needs must. Not much of a brook, more like quite a fast flowing river. I was about to say it stopped raining. Unfortunately, it's back again. Left Castleford Aqueduct Leckhampton Wharf house behind us, and now we start the big walk. Now we start the about 3 miles into Buckingham, where we've got quite a bit to see. One thing that continues to stagger me, especially, we've been looking at the Wilts and Barts Canal lately, and you think that's kind of a project that probably won't fully open in my lifetime. And here we are again, another abandoned canal, 9 miles long. They've got a society, and the ambition is just crazy. Again, even something this small, I find it difficult to think that it would be open in the next 20, 30 years because there's so many obstacles. But one thing I kind of always want to highlight is the absolute dedication of some of these societies. And it's rare to see an abandoned canal without one, where there's people who are just as resolute as you can imagine about this will be open. It's really difficult for me to sort of convey that from what we do, because you think, well, that's not necessarily going to be something they're going to see in their lifetime, and they probably know that. But the fact that they've given their time as part of that is really humbling. Well done to all you that dedicate yourselves to this sort of project. Hyde Lock, wow, here we are. Stood also on top of an overflow, and I should imagine there's a lot of brooks along this section of the canal. I should imagine that they needed a lot of these overflows, or at least for the small aqueducts. Overflows would probably be easier to build, maintain the level of the canal as well, so they don't ruin the banks. And yeah, here we are, Hyde Lock, one set of lock gates, looking in reasonably good nick, and one down the other end, but they look like they could be in good working order. Reasonably. Forgive me, one of the unwritten rules of being on YouTube these days is you have to produce shorts. It's the law. Onwards now, not quite sure what to expect. When I say I don't know what more there is to see, I think there's another lock according to the old records, and of course we can still try and trace the canal route itself. And speaking of the canal route, this is just gorgeous once again. Even the wooden planks they put to prop up the towpath here, covered in moss, algae, and it's just gorgeous. Useful information board, Buckingham Canal Society. Work is ongoing by volunteers to restore this canal, including the management of this part by volunteers who maintain the natural environment. Exactly what we were talking about just back there. Yeah, really useful. So I'm just going to press on and stop waffling for a little bit and make some time up, because it's getting on and we've got to get back. So what you're seeing now is a summation of about 2 miles walk. Felt probably like 4 because of the heavy mud underfoot. Either way, we've got one more lock to go and have a look at. I didn't know what to expect because I can't remember what the guy said back at Cosgrove. That looks like what we're aiming for there. See that white house in the distance? Well, that's a site of Bourton Lock. Let's hope we can find some remains. Sadly, it looked like there was nothing left to see apart from the small retaining wall, which is probably the entrance to the lock. Ironically, what this is probably the old lock house, and it looks like the garden is now used of the site of where the lock was. On to the last little treat of the day.
We have half a mile at the Buckingham end, half a mile at the Buckingham end, which we have re-watered.
Yeah.
That was primarily to show the benefits from a biodiversity perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've planted it with locally prevalent plants, and we have a local county wildlife recorder.
So there it is, the end of the navigable, I say navigable, the in-water section of the currently being restored Buckingham Canal, the arm of the Grand Union. Big thanks to Readly, today's sponsor of today's video. Without those sort of people, we wouldn't be able to keep this channel going in the way we do. So big thanks to them. Hopefully we'll give you some value by signing up to them as well, because if it's a benefit to us, it might be a benefit to you. Yeah, thanks Readly. We'll see you this time next week.